Hi everyone, welcome to Starlight Activation. I'm Anthony. I didn't intend on doing a video today. I just got out of the hospital today. Yes. And it was all divine timing. And I thought this was an important moment. It happened. Tomorrow is, I know that you guys are going to be viewing this after the fact because I'm scheduling all my videos 1 week out. So you'll have content. Because being a flight attendant, it's kind of hard for me sometimes to, do videos during the week. And so I've been producing them as I need to, but I'm just using them as premieres. But tomorrow is 11/11. There's a portal happening on 11/11. And it's supposed to be tied to, ascension. And so this one is about divine timing and about shadow work and about loving yourself and knowing that you're worthy. I don't know what the title's going to be yet, but that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to give you the specifics of what happened. So today is the 10th. So early in the wee hours, just as the 9th turned into the 10th, I had watched one video on another video on I'm losing my brain right now. I am under medication. Sirian Starseeds, that's it. And what was interesting about it is I was learning a little bit more about the history of Sirians and Earth, and that the Sirians are the closest system close to the Earth, so they've always had a heavy hand in the evolution of Earth. And as far as at any given time, what's been happening through Earth's entire history, the Sirians have been involved with it. So they're very much what you would call hands-on entities. And so I was learning about that, and it was very interesting. Within maybe 2 hours, and I was fine. I had a salad for dinner. That's it. First I thought I had food poisoning. And then food poisoning turned into these, what I called, like 5 areas of intense pain all happening at the same time on a different rhythm, if that makes sense to you. So they were all happening in the trunk of my body. So that meant from like your shoulders to your midsection. And the ribs, all my ribs were aching and inflamed all at once, but independently. Like you could all feel them all differently. And then there was like a 5-inch round like disc right here that had a different pain right in the center of my chest. My lower back pain, there was a band all across my lower back about 5 to 7 inches wide. And then the upper back, right below my shoulder blade, that was another band of pain. And then my lower abdomen in the front was another band of pain. So it was freaking me out. And now for hours, I was trying to get comfortable. And I could not get comfortable. There was not one position I could get into. Standing, sitting, laying down, laying in my chair. There was nothing I could do. Nothing. I took 3 showers. 3 hot showers just to relieve the thought of the pain off of me and focus solely on the water. And that did help. But as soon as I turned the water off, everything was right there again. So it was back on focus. And I was throwing up like crazy. I threw up everything in my stomach. So it was just this weird combination of issues. And I'm going to go over my notes really quick just to make sure. Yep. Okay, so here was the thing that was interesting. Until I make the decision to go to the emergency room, which I did not want to do, this pain on everything just kept intensifying. So it started out at one level, and it just kept escalating and escalating and escalating. From about 4 to 6 a.m., I was in prayer, and I could hear back from no one. It's like I didn't feel connected to anyone, and I was just begging for relief. I mean, pleading for my life for relief. And there was one thing that I said that I kept saying, I'm going to fail my mission. I'm going to fail my mission. And then I had the thought of suicide. And I literally thought I could go into the bathroom, slit a wrist, and I hope this is not too graphic for some of you, but this is what went through my mind, and just bleed out right there in the shower and not make a mess. And because that's how intense this was, and I saw no window out. I saw no way out of this pain. Now, for relevance to this, and I have shared before my personal story about how I was bullied intensely all through school, and I would often contemplate suicide because I couldn't understand why I was bullied horribly, but why I was so spiritual on the other hand. And through guidance on that, I learned that, those are the things that make you stronger. You learn from those things that make you stronger. So you can be the warrior and you can complete your mission. So in this moment of weakness, I fell right back into that pattern that I had not gotten rid of. And so, go same with for the mission. Okay, so before 7 a.m., I apologized to my guides. This is between 6:30 and 7, I know, or 7:45. I apologized to my guides for speaking of suicide. And at that moment, I forced myself to get dressed and I drove to the hospital. Because I knew that if I had thought that, I was in a bad place. That was my warning sign. You're about in the worst place you can get. And I didn't even know if I was going to be able to drive. I was going to call 911. But if I called 911, I knew they were going to take me to the hospital where I live. And that's not the hospital I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to the hospital where one of my doctors already is, so they can keep up on my progress. So I drove myself, and I was fine getting there. I couldn't believe it. Getting into the car was painful, but once I got into the car and I got my seatbelt strapped on and I was driving, I was fine. When I arrived at the ER, I was visibly shaking and hyperventilating. So my entire body was shaking. And so literally they asked me 2 questions and ushered me into the back, into a room immediately, one of the rooms in the ER, but they're private rooms. They're not the big room. They just have the curtains between everyone. These are actually individual rooms in the ER. So once they got me in there and I had my initial assessment, and so they said, okay, your symptoms are all over the place. We don't know what's wrong. We're just going to do a series of CAT scans. And they got me immediately into a series of those CAT scans like crazy. Started doing blood work. And it was when maybe 2 hours later that they had found out that what had happened is that a very large gallstone was blocking a liquid tube. And they said I was at risk for the blockage backing up into the kidneys, which then I think it means it goes septic and you can get infections, and it really had to be removed. And I said, fine, let's remove it, because they were going to give me the option of rescheduling. I said, no, I'm a flight attendant. If I have to reschedule this, I can't do it until January because our schedules are that tight. And I said, I'm on vacation. Let's do it now. So once I got that scheduled, then that set off a whole clock of things that started happening in time. And I was left alone for about, I think it was a good 45 minutes to an hour. And that's when I went into a prayer session. And I did shadow work. So I told the divine and Michael to please take this unworthiness, the suicide thought, out of my realm, out of my being, out of my mind, and give it back to the universe. It did not serve me. It did not serve my purpose. It did not serve me on this mission. It did not serve me in any way. It was doing just the opposite. It was holding me back. And so once I did it, and I could barely lift my hands, because I do this hand motion where I'll go like this, and I'll speak with my head raised. I could raise my head, but it was really hard to hold my hands up there. And I was barely able to get the words out because I was in so much pain at that point, because they couldn't give me anything yet. And so I did that, and then I was working through that shadow work, and I did it for quite some time and dozed off for a few minutes. So I was excited that I fell asleep for a little bit. Let me make sure I'm not getting off my notes here. Yes. Okay, cool. Okay. I really didn't have to write notes about all this. I remember all this. It just happened. What next? Oh God, don't laugh. What next was very enlightening. And when I mean next, I don't mean literally the next thing that happened. I mean over the 2 time periods that I was there. It was definitely divine intervention. Every single person I interacted with had beautiful energy. Now you guys know that I'm an empath and I can read energy. And I was able to just look at the person's eyes and tell immediately, every single person had a beautiful energy, and I believe I was surrounded by 100% light workers, and they might have been Sirians. These might have been my ancestors that got me to the hospital at that exact moment to put these people in my place so that I could feel the comfort of their love and compassion when I was undergoing this highly stressful, painful episode. And on plus of all that, I was dealing with my shadow work that was in the back of my head. They all had this same, I had just listened to that Sirian message earlier in the night. They all fit the same profile as I do. Every single one of them. I'm talking about every single person I ran into. Everyone that walked in that room that had any interaction with me that I was able to talk to, I could feel it out of every single one of them. And I was amazed. I saw then this was divine timing. And it got even much freakier after that. Because Sirians are known to go into medicine. That's another thing. Caring, compassionate, medicine, also systems that make life easier, as far as for the general populations that are into stuff like that. So I know I was meant to arrive at the hospital at that specific moment because I just changed on a dime. I went from the suicide thought to getting in my car, getting dressed and getting in my car. And I knew that I would be just fine from surgery. I knew there was going to be no issues with the surgery. I knew that if I had been directed to go there, I knew that I was going to be fine and that the divine was taking care of me. Now, so I was released later this afternoon. I was able to drive myself home. Yes, I was in intense pain, but I was able to drive myself home. I have to take the medication to lay down or something like that, but other than that, everything is fine. Everything went fine. So that is a blessing. And it was just so beautiful. I said to so many people that I ran into that everyone there has such beautiful energy, and I was really impressed by it. And they just all, smiled. I don't know if some people get it or they don't get it. I don't know, but they smiled at me. I was told that I was one of their best patients because I never rang my call light. Oh, don't make myself laugh. Okay, so when I got home and I tried to eat a little bit, oh, and by the way, after going without 24 hours of food, Jell-O tastes pretty darn good. I'll just say that right now. Because they had me on almost like just water stuff. I watched a video with the connected conduit. Right from the beginning of the video, I knew it was just for me. It was spot on me, my ex. So it was very personal reading for me. She called out specifically, and I think I've told you this before, that I've had, where it comes to my intuition who's working with me. And so she called out 3 of them that I know work with me. Archangel Michael, Uriel, and Gabriel. That they were with me. And she also validated that I've been working with Michael on cord cutting. And that what I was working on and mastering is divinely guided and protected. Now I can take that 2 ways. I can take that on my aquascaping channel, or I can take this here in this channel. Because I've had a lot of doubts about this channel, and I've shared that before on videos with you. I didn't feel like my voice warranted a channel. I didn't feel like I had enough to say. And I didn't know if I was knowledgeable enough. And there's lots of worries that I had. But I tried to give all that up, but apparently I didn't do a very good job of it because we had to do it again. Uriel is with me, is trying to communicate with me and working with me. He's trying to bring me some sort of knowledge in meditation that I'll be getting like a download. It's sacred knowledge that's going to be particularly for me, a message through meditation when I'm resting, that they want me to show myself. Now I know what that means because they already did that when I was working on my aquascaping channel. When I first did my aquascaping channel, I was like trying to be real professional and blah, 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 blah. No, they said show the real you. And I started doing it, and my subscribers started growing because I wasn't trying to be something I'm not. I'm just going to be real. And on that channel, I show realism constantly. And that grace, patience, and bit by bit, things are moving forward. Okay. I don't watch this. I watch the numbers on my aquascaping channel. I don't watch these numbers because they're so low. But I know if at least one person gets to do a video, gets to watch a video, they're going to find it helpful, I hope. Now, so what I'm going to talk about is kind of what I had to deal with. It's called the Temple of Shame. This is where you're secretly scared that you are not enough. That came out in my reading. You are secretly scared you are not enough. Dang right. That is one of my biggest fears right there. And it came out that shame is lying to me, that I'm not unlovable, broken, ugly, or not worthy. Shame keeps you hiding and small. Accept yourself now. You are a bright light. Allow your light to see how you really are. Doing the very best you can. Oh, doing the very best you can, sorry. Oh, you are lovable and complete, and I am protected. Now, I know I have heavy protection from the divine and my angels, because I've been told that before, and I've seen it. I haven't shared that vision with you guys yet. I'll share that in another one where we do about the visions that I see. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. There's a gift in all this turmoil. Your gift will be revealed. So I think that what I'm going to say next year, so feel free to ask for wisdom and healing, releasing vows from this or other timelines, release so you can ascend, release old emotional patterns, and accept healing now. I think that's a suicide reference, is that I need to release these old things that don't fit me now. I'm not the person now that's going to like, woe is me, I need to end my life. And I needed to get this lesson done before the portal. Also, I had some key takeaways. This may be the shortest video I do, which I'll be kind of proud about, because I've been trying to do a video less than 30 minutes. My key takeaways were divine timing. The emergency happened while I'm on vacation. If I had been working, this would have been a nightmare. I could have been out of the country, left alone, because no one stays with you, left alone in a hospital, and had to be sent back on my own when I was well enough. That could have been a nightmare. It would have been a nightmare. Number one, my crew would have had to wait for a replacement, and they would have been stuck in the city wherever we were until a replacement crew could come back. And then I would be there alone and isolated. That would have been horrific. Shadow work. I was able to recognize that I had not fully released an old tape from my past. Once I gave it up to the universe, my soul and being felt lighter as this darkness was removed, and that is exactly how it felt. I felt release, and that's when I knew I was going to be fine. About the surgery, I knew I was going to be fine. I was not really that worried about it. I didn't know how extreme it was, because they said 3 things actually were happening, but removing the gallbladder was going to fix everything. So it was a little more serious than that, but I knew I was going to be fine. The 1111 portal. I completed this just prior to the portal activation. I think it was a necessary moment for me, because I know I'm supposed to be ascending through portals. And if you guys have watched the video where I described going through a portal, I've always said that portal was the 1111 portal. I don't know why I said that, but I knew it was. So I know that I can't go through that portal unless I had released this first. Releasing and confirmation of being released from being too old or ugly or not being enough or unworthy, broken, not knowledgeable. Releasing this shame and allowing this work to continue. This work that I'm doing here. You'll either find relevance in what I'm saying or you won't find relevance in what I'm saying. And my job is to get the point out, and hopefully it will resonate with someone. Positive affirmation. I am lovable, complete, and a bright light. I am protected, and I can accept myself for who I am. And part of that goes straight back to what I always say. I am standing in my light, I am speaking my truth, and I'm on my highest and my best path forward through the guidance of my guides. Because I can't do any of this by myself. I have to have my guides with me. And I know they are with me. Once I had given up the shame aspect of the suicidal thought, and I was ashamed that I thought of it. I felt like I just slapped the face of all my angels by referencing that. Once I gave that up, I could feel everyone's support then. I knew that I was fine then. And then everyone's energy that I dealt with was amazing. And I felt like they were all light workers. They could have all been Sirian light workers and just not known it. Because there's light workers out there like I was that wasn't awake, but your light still shines through. And that's the point I kind of want to make. You know, this whole thing is about documenting my journey, because you may be waking up, but you may not see it yet. So it's good for you to pay attention to the small signs. When someone comes to you, up to you, like they used to do to me, and said something about, wow, your light is so bright, or your energy is amazing, or your insights are always spot on, or you can get involved in a conversation and withhold your own personal thoughts, but give, sage advice to other people. You just need to look at all the things that you're doing that are on the positive side and see if there's a correlation to what a light worker is supposed to be doing. Because we are here to help and to elevate humanity on Earth. Because now remember, if you're a Sirian light worker the way I am, now there's other light workers out there from all the other planets, but if you're a Sirian light worker, you've been involved with Earth from the very beginning. And so Sirians have a very tight connection with Earth. Now, some of the other star seeds out there that are not Sirians kind of say that Sirians have had too much interaction with Earth, that they have interfered with the, especially the DNA makeup of humans, that they've altered it a bit to progress them faster than they would have been. I don't know anything about that. It probably is true. I just know that when histories of things come up, my interest is always piqued. And it's always been piqued around two specific areas. Atlantis, for some reason I know all about Atlantis, and Egypt, and the Mayans, all these places where things were built that could not have been human. There's just no way, just face it, people, it couldn't have been humans. It had to be aliens. It had to be aliens that were coming down in flesh and blood, that were orchestrating things happening, and maybe through portals. There's portals on Earth, we know about it. So that's how you could see, like in some stories where they talk about, like Easter Island. Okay, how did those rocks get there that were nowhere around? A portal. They use energy to transport things. It's just like how they built the pyramids. Those were massive stones. There's no way they could have carved them with the little tools they had, unless they had help or a laser. Look at some of those seams, like at the H blocks. Those are definitely laser cut, and you can tell you don't get precision from a human hand doing that. You get help from a higher evolution. And so that's kind of where I think the Sirians have come into play. But I want you to just kind of like look back on maybe some signs that maybe are happening in your life, and you can say, could that have been what he's talking about? And just see if there's a correlation to it. So I hope you find relevance in this. I'm gonna go take some pain meds. Hopefully get some sleep. So until you either see me on the next video, or maybe you're on one of my flights, I'm wishing you all but nothing but light and love, and you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.